Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
Masked men barge in and open fire. Brand new information we're learning tonight after a home invasion ends in a shooting.
Waiting for a fix. The state takes action against the owners of the failed dams in mid-Michigan as we learn just how long it could take for things to get back to normal.
We're going to begin, though, at 5 with the threat of rain and storms heading into tonight.
Yeah, we're starting to see a few spots popping up, so we want to get right over to Ben.
And Ben, after last week, I don't think a lot of people are saying they need much more rain.
No, that is not on our list of wants right now, but we will have to deal with this, and you can see that line starting to emerge here. And the storms are going in that direction, and that's sort of what has us concerned. It's all really to the west of us, with the exception of those cells that we're watching coming out of Lansing that have so far invaded there into northern parts of Livingston County. There's a couple lightning strikes on those, but when we take a closer look inside, you can see that those tops are at about 30,000 feet, so they're healthy, but they're not real strong. We'll slice right across the center of it, and you can see there are definitely a couple downpours in there, maybe some small hail, but we're really anticipating that heavy rain is going to be the biggest threat that we're concerned about with these storms. We are technically in a marginal risk for severe weather, which means we may have some wind gusts that approach 50, 60 miles an hour. But again, I think it's going to be the amount of rain that's going to be the issue tonight, especially if these thunderstorms roll over top of each other more than once. And then as we look forward into the Labor Day weekend, there are some changes there for Sunday and Labor Day Monday. We'll discuss all that and time out tonight's storms a little bit closer when we talk to you again in a few minutes. Guys?
Okay, Ben, they say it's an unusual step to take, but it must be done.
Today, Michigan's Environmental Department issues the owners of the Edenville Dam an emergency order. Frustrated Boyce Hydro is ignoring deadlines. Let's bring in Local 4 Defender Karen Drew with what it all means.
It was back on May 19th when the Edenville Dam failed. 11,000 people were evacuated. 2,500 structures were damaged by that 500-year flood. Now, with today's emergency order, Boyce Hydro is ordered to alter the Edenville Dam to ensure public safety and have that project done by the end of the year.
It was an unbelievable sight, an empty Wixom Lake. Lakefront property turned into the unimaginable. Now, some 3.5 months later, Michigan's Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy makes a major announcement.
It is unusual for us to have to step in and take over for a dam owner.
Eagle now issuing Boyce Hydro, the dam's owner, an emergency order to alter the Tobacco River spillway near Midland. State officials believing this is the best option to address dam safety concerns right now.
Lower the concrete in that spillway to allow some flow back into the Tobacco River and divert some of that flow away from the M30 crossing so that bridge can be reconstructed.
Now, the design would restore partial flow to the Tobacco River, as well as restore flow to the Tittabawassee River, as well as divert water that has been draining to the area where the dam breach occurred. Boyce Hydro will be ordered to complete the construction.
They've not hit one deadline or met one milestone that we've asked. And so in the meantime, state government's been stepping up.
The state knowing it may very well have to pick up the tab as the dam owner has filed bankruptcy.
So what does this mean to taxpayers? Well, Eagle believes the state could be eligible for grant funding to cover the majority of the costs. But of course, nothing's official on that, meaning if that funding does not come in, taxpayers would be footing the bill, as the state would try to attempt to be reimbursed by the bankrupt company. Karen Drew, Local 4 Defenders.
All right, Karen, now other reviews are also being done to be submitted later, which will take a look at Michigan's dam safety program, as well as an independent investigation that is looking at the factors that led to this dam failure. Meantime, officials say homeowners on the drained lakes in the area will have to wait at least a few years for the water to return. Well, a home invasion on Detroit's west side ends with shots fired and a woman being rushed to the hospital.
It happened this morning on Auburn Street near Evergreen and Ann Arbor Trail on Detroit's west side. Victor Williams joins us live now. Victor, any word on the victim's condition tonight?
Well, Devin and Kimberly, most of us can't imagine something as tragic as this happening right inside of our homes. But for one person living in the city, that was the unfortunate reality. Police are investigating the shooting that took place at Auburn Street near Paul Road around 3:50 a.m. Sources say the victim, a 32-year-old woman, was in the kitchen when a masked man somehow forced his way into one of the doors of the home. From there, reports say the man pulled out a handgun, firing a single shot, striking the woman, leaving her in a pretty bad state. According to officials, there were multiple people inside the home when the incident happened, but no one was able to intervene. Local 4 has been told that the woman is now in the hospital in critical condition, hoping to make a speedy recovery. But in the meantime, officers are working to get to the bottom of this as soon as possible. Authorities looked over the scene both inside and out, making entry inside to examine any evidence potentially left behind. However, at this point, there have been no leads. And once again, that woman is in critical condition. So if you know anything that happened to her, if you know about the person that might have broken inside of her home, you're asked to call the police as soon as possible. Victor Williams, Local 4.
All right, Victor, thanks.
Today's coronavirus case count, a big jump from yesterday. State says 718 new cases of the virus have been confirmed over the last 24 hours. They also report 15 new deaths, though about half of them, 8 of those, came from a review of past vital records.
And starting next week, the state will only be publishing coronavirus numbers 6 days per week. You'll see them Monday through Saturday. The state says that this is being done due to erratic weekend reporting data that is normally far lower than the average number of new cases. Moving forward, both Sunday and Monday numbers will now be reported on Mondays.
General Motors has met its obligation and kept its pledge, completing an order to supply ventilators to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
General Motors teamed with Ventec Life Systems to build ventilators in Kokomo, Indiana to help in the COVID-19 pandemic. The facility has delivered 30,000 ventilators and filled the order in 154 days. That's an average of 1 ventilator built every 7 minutes. GM is now turning over full control of the Kokomo plant to Ventec. Also, General Motors CEO Mary Barra will be playing host tomorrow to White House advisor Ivanka Trump. The president's daughter will be at the Warren Tech Center tomorrow to learn about GM's programs for improving technical abilities of GM's skilled trade workers and engineers. She'll tour the GM's Technical Learning University there at the facility.
In the wake of violent protests, President Trump stopped in Kenosha, Wisconsin today. The city has been, of course, gripped by violence since Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old black man, was shot 7 times in the back by a white police officer. Jay Gray in Kenosha tonight with more on the president's visit and the community's response. Hi, Jay.
Hey there, good evening, Devin. You know, the devastation of this burned out car dealership is the kind of destruction that President Trump saw firsthand on the ground here today, and the kind of scene that invokes fear and anger for so many who live here. Kenosha, battered, burned out, and still on edge. President Trump's visit bringing together his supporters and Black Lives Matter protesters as he tours the devastation here.
We're going to work with you. We're going to help you. Okay? We'll help you rebuild.
The wreckage, remnants of protests that turned violent after 29-year-old Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back by a Kenosha police officer. With the violence growing, 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse in the crowd and armed allegedly shot and killed 2 protesters and wounded a 3rd, prompting officials to call in additional officers and the National Guard.
Law enforcement has just done such a great job working with the National Guard and working with a lot of people, but we're here to show our support for Kenosha.
As the president sits down with police and first responders, Blake's family host a barbecue and block party in his honor in the neighborhood where he was shot.
I'm tired. I'm a labor foreman in union. I've been hurt.
And determined, urging calm as they push for justice in the case. Their message for the president:
we don't have any words for the orange man. All I ask is that he keep his disrespect, his foul language far away from our family. We need a president that's going to unite our country and take us in a different direction.
After a weekend of peaceful marches, many now fear protests in this small town could change direction.
Absolutely. I'm afraid that Trump's visit here today is going to stoke that violence.
Both sides here amped up and anxious about what comes next. Now, local and state police, the National Guard, and a curfew all remain in effect here tonight. In Kenosha, Wisconsin, Jay Gray, Local 4.
Jay. Well, their lives were changed forever in an instant.
New at 5, how you can help hunt down the so-called Sunday Funday driver who hit and injured 3 innocent bystanders.
Also, a major expansion coming to Eastern Market. It has to do with a lot more than just fresh produce. We'll tell you about it in a moment. Sean.
Some Detroit protesters who had a big role in protesting the police now dropping out.
There's so much yelling that you can do.
Next, live at 5 o'clock, we'll tell you why.